Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar, this OMEP webinar, which is about the most important thing, how to manage to get a sustainable future. I will introduce to you the newest OMEP project on sustainability, and it is about inviting practitioners all over the world to join the OMEP ESD Rating scale and from there work with children. I suppose maybe you recognize this, I hope you recognize this picture. This is actually a logo that is now 10 years old. It's drawn by Anna-Karin Engberg, a Swedish friend of OMEP, and she has made this as the logo for OMEP Congress in Sweden 2010, but it's also the logo for OMEP's extension large ESD project. And I was happy to launch this project, and I served as the world project leader together with the Czech president, Milada Rabušikova, for a couple of years. And then Professor Pramling Samuelsson also has been serving as a project leader for this project. Look at this and see, this is still a very good picture. You can use this picture to start discussions and talks with children all over the world, as we did in 2009. But going back to the whole idea with sustainability, we want early childhood to transform everything they do towards cultures of sustainability. And in OMEP, we use the definition of sustainability that was launched in 1992 in the first Rio meeting. And the brilliance of sustainability is that you realize it has to do with ecological aspects, with social and cultural aspects, and economic aspects. When you put these three perspectives together, you get the whole impact on environment and on the climate and on the planet Earth. And there's also another dimension. It's a political dimension. And the political dimension is about people taking action. So the political dimension corresponds to empowerment. By education for sustainability, we want to empower all participants to take action for the planet Earth. The OMEP project, launched in 2009, has so far 8 parts, 8 different projects. And here you can see them. I will talk shortly about them, but I would just like on this slide to mention number 7 as one of the UNESCO GAP project partners. UNESCO has a global action program finishing this year, and OMEP is one of the partners. We have been able to open a resource bank, and you find the email address here. And with this resource bank, you have access to hundreds of projects in ESD, in early childhood, and that is something to look for. On this slide, you can see some of the logos for the different parts of the project. In the center, you have the planet Earth with the children taking care of it, but you also have on your right-hand corner, top right-hand corner, Project 2, which was about ESD, doing things with children, using the 7 words that we took from the Gråhall Brundtland report, but also developed into early childhood education. You have part 3, where we worked with intergenerational dialogues for ESD. You have part 4, when we focused on equality for sustainability, and part number 5, teacher training. All these things are still available. If you want to start something in your university, or in your preschool, or in your daycare center, you can go to OMEP website and you find presentations, what to do, linked to these 5 projects. Project number 6 is about an annual award that we've been running since 2010. If you're interested in working with children, young children, about sustainability, you also have the possibility to send your project to and be a participant in an award-winning contest. And this year, you will enter this. It's been launched by the World Presidency, and you just can read more about it on the OMEP website. The submission deadline is March 13, 2020. Please join if you have something going that is interesting for more people. But I would actually want to work about project number 6, which is what my task today is, to launch the next phase of the OMEP ESD rating scale. This is a scale that's been ongoing for, let's say, 5 years. But now, after 5 years, we've also made a second edition. So we ask you to join OMEP for a project about the OMEP ESD rating scale, second edition. Going back in history, the first ESD rating scale was developed as a research project. And the rating scale is using the ECHERS format. ECHERS stands for Early Childhood Environmental Rating Scale and is developed by Selma Harms in the US. And we thought this is quite a familiar scale to some of you. And we have used the same scale. So in 2011, Ingrid Pramling Samuelsson initiated, together with Dr. Yoon-Hae Park, this project, and also John Shirai Blatchford. And you can see that we had 10 countries participating: Chile, China, England, Kenya, Korea, Norway, Portugal, Sweden, Turkey, and the US. And this project is reported already in a book in the Springer series on early childhood education. So if you want to read about the original scale and the participating countries, you have it fully reported in this book. But since 2014, it's been used, the scale has been used, and we have now taken, we've learned from these 5 years, and in 2019, we have revised the scale. For instance, I would like to thank New Zealand, OMEP New Zealand, who's done a lot of this, and also OMEP Sweden and has done a lot of this. And we have used the experiences from working with the scale and translated it into and revised it into a second edition. And it's the second edition that I'm now launching for you. This project, the OMEP rating scale, is founded on the same principles as all the other ESD projects. So if you want to work with part 1 with a globe, or with part 2 with the rewords, or part 3 about intergenerational pedagogy, that's fine. If you want to work with rating scale, you're up to the project that we're launching today. The principles is that we think that young children, early childhood, within early childhood, they are competent and they are contributors to society. This is a sort of slightly new way to look upon children, but if you think about children as citizens of the world, it's not so new. Children with the UNCRC, the Convention on the Rights of the Child, we have the right to look upon young children as citizens and competent and contributors to society. We say that children are agents of change. And if young children work together collaboratively with adults, they can really make a difference. And that's what we've seen all through the different parts of the ESD projects within OMEP. Another thing that is a central principle is that in early childhood education, we don't work subject-wise. We work holistically. We integrate different subjects into themes and projects. And these themes and projects, they are inspired by the children themselves. What's happening in their world? What's happening in their minds? What are they interested in? And they're also initiated by teachers, for instance, about sustainability. What's important to learn in this time of the year? And based on these principles, you can see that we are very close to the global meetings, the world meetings recognizing sustainability as a very important thing. We talk about the Brundtland report that was made for Rio Conference 92, and we talk about the UNESCO decade that was launched and was active 2005 to 2014 about sustainability. If we look closer to the scale, the logic of the scale is very close to the Ecker scale. So if you're familiar with the Ecker scale, you can also use these tools very easily. But the thing we have done is that we look at the three different perspectives, the three pillars of the ESD work, which is the social cultural, the economic, and the environmental pillars. So the scale has three parts. You can work with them one at a time, and you can start with any one of the pillars, because wherever you start, you will find yourself coming up to a holistic aspect where you can include all pillars. The political dimension, I mentioned that empowerment is also a task for education for sustainability. The political dimension you can see by following the scale, going from the first indicators at level 1 through 3 and 5, and finally to level 7, where you have the action, where the transaction and the transformative education is taking place and is established. So the political dimension is sort of passing on from level 1 to level 7. The scale talks about different aspects of early childhood education, and for different aspects we have indicators. So for each of the three areas, social, cultural, economic, and environmental, we have indicators in 5 different aspects. And these indicators are shown for the numbers 1, 3, 5, and 7. And if you sort of think we are number 3, but we are not number 5, well, then you can put a 4. We are number 5, but we don't reach everything on number 7. Okay, maybe you're a number 6. This is an example of how the scale looks. This is from the dimension of social and cultural sustainability, striving towards global social justice. First, in the scale, you have a sort of overall vision. We are striving towards a sustainable culture where the preschool initiates and participates in projects and group activities that are exploring and challenging social and cultural traditions and prejudices in order to build daily sustainable common practice for children and adults. So this vision is guiding the whole perspective of social and cultural sustainability. Then, in this perspective, you have 5 different topics, and here you can see the first 2: representations in books, toys, pictures, and number 2, social and cultural diversity. And here you can see the format of the scale. So we have the indicators for number 1 saying limited resources, challenging stereotypes, or depicting cultural diversity. That's not so good. For number 3, there are some displays and resources that challenge stereotypes and depict diversity in positive ways. For number 5, you find books, pictures, media, and other material are used together with children in order to discuss and reflect upon cultural and social stereotypes. And number 7, The preschool works in a critical approach in all education to counteract prejudices and discriminating power patterns. So for all of the 15 areas, 5 for each dimension, you find these kind of 4 indicators. And you try to look at your own preschool, your own kindergarten or childcare setting, and you look at which indicator is closest to what you perceive from your experience. And you have number 2, 4, and 6 if you're sort of in between. So this is the way the scale looks. And what do the numbers indicate? Well, I've already talked a bit about this, but this is to be sure to understand the transformative aspect of the scale, the transformation from inadequate to excellent. So number 1, the figure num1 represents inadequate. It's not good for children's education and care. Number 3, minimal, indicates that children are informed and develop knowledge. Number 5, good, indicates that children participate. They have the possibility to influence decisions and take actions. So in number 3, we sort of transmission knowledge, but already in number 5, children are agents of change. They participate, they have a saying in their daily childhood. And excellent, number 7, indicates that the preschool is involved in transformative and including processes, enabling systemic changes towards this culture of sustainability. And this is something to strive towards. When you want to use the scale, most often today it's used as in-service training or at pre-service training at university or colleges. And it's a circular process, a learning process. First, you read the scale and then you go to your setting, your preschool, and you do an individual rating. What do I think about this aspect, about books, or this aspect about let's say water consumption? What do I think about it? I look at my preschool and I do my rating. Number 2, there's a team discussion. You're not alone. You're not on your own in your preschool or in your setting. And you have a discussion with your team, with your colleagues. And these two together makes a sort of in-service training for everyone involved in using the scale. Then when you've done this, you go to developing an action plan. Maybe you have very good practice and you have given yourself number 5 or number 6 on the scale, on the indicator scale. But there are some aspects where you are 2 or 3 or maybe 4, where you can see there are lots of things we could do here. So you develop together an action plan. Number 4, you carry out the actions or the projects. And number 5, you evaluate what you've been doing. And the evaluation is made by a new round with the scale. Let's look at the rubrics we have developed. Maybe this will make it more clear for you. This is a rubric for self and team assessment of the OMEP ESD rating scale. And again, you see ESD, you see on the left-hand corner indicators on the content areas, and we have the same as I showed before, representations in books, toys, and pictures. So individually, you take this rubric, you look at the indicators that I just read for you, and you fill in my individual examples of observations in this area. What is it that you see? Why do you think it's good? What is bad? What makes it, what gives you the idea to put the number, the figure? Would you like to put a 3, number 4, number 5, or number 7, and why? If you're not on number 7, you get ideas. What could we develop? What could be better? What would I like to do to move myself upwards on the scale? And this is the next in the table. You can, in the rubric, you put it under ideas for my own leadership. And then you go through all 3 perspectives, all 3 pillars and the 5 indicators in each pillar. And individually, you do this. Next thing, I would say this takes about an hour, depending on how used you are to the vocabulary on ESD. It takes maybe an hour for you to do this individually. And it's important to do it individually because the next step is meeting your colleagues in a team discussion for evaluation and planning. So here you meet and you bring up number 1. What did you say? Okay, Anna, she put number 4. Ingrid, I put number 2. And my colleague Eva, she put number 5. So why do we have so different rating on this representations in books, toys, and pictures? We tell each other by reading about the ideas behind, and then we tell about the ideas we have to push forward in this field, in this indicator. And then together as a team, you come up with a joint figure. Maybe this is a number 4. And then on the right-hand side, plans for the future. What would you like to promote, to develop, to transform your education in this area? So we have 2 different rubrics, one for the individual assessment, and then one for the discussions in the team of teachers. The whole idea with this webinar is to make you interested in the scale and the invitation to join the OMEP ESD Rating Scale project is distributed in a couple of weeks from OMEP, and you have the possibility to be participants in this. In this slide, you also see a logo from UNESCO. UNESCO had the decade between 2005 and 2014. Then they launched the Global Action Program 2015 to 2019. And now 2019 is coming at its end. So the UNESCO now works for something they call Education 2030. And this is the logo. And OMEP works closely with UNESCO on this. And it would be easy for you to get support from UNESCO in your own country if you show that you're willing to work for sustainability in the early years. Why should we do this? Well, throughout the years, when I was project leader for the first parts of the project, this is one of the project leaders, actually from the Czech Republic, who told us that until the implementation of this global project, I thought that preschool children are not aware of environmental protection, ecology, and other things linked to themes linked to ESD. However, after interviewing the children, I realized that the opposite is true. Children perceive information they hear without it being the adult's intention, and the moment they receive a particular impulse, they are able to use it. And this is from one of the Czech Republican project leaders, but I can tell you that many project leaders in the OMEP World projects have verified this approach, that adults, even adults working with young children, tend to underestimate children. So now with signing up for the ESD Rating Scale project, you will have the possibility to get some in-service training for yourself, but you will also have the possibility to work with children, which is what we want you to do. This picture comes from Nigeria, from one of the first parts of the project. And the quote comes actually from Australia. It was happening in the entrance of the preschool, where the teacher asked parents for permission to join the part 1 with the children in the group. And the child was standing there, and the child said, but why, the parents said, but why are they asking the kids? Indicating that they didn't really think that children had any knowledge about sustainability and the state of the earth. And a child standing in the hallway said, why not? We know stuff too. And this is an ambition that I hope and an invitation for you all to realize that young children, they know a lot about sustainability if we manage to talk with them about it. Children are actually capable of changing the world. I hope you recognize this picture of Malala Yousafzai, who is one of the children. She's the one child who's got the Nobel Peace Prize in 2014. And she says, one child, one teacher, one book, and one pen can change the world. Another child is Swedish. This is a picture of Greta Thunberg. She is responsible or initiator of one of the largest, actually the world's largest youth movement. She started in August 2018, just about 1 year ago, a strike every Friday, which is called now Fridays for Future. She sat with this sign outside the Swedish parliament. And the first time she spoke in public was on a March for the Climate in Stockholm on September 8, 2018. And she said, "No one is too small to make a difference. I will continue to strike on Fridays until Sweden fulfills its obligations according to the Paris Agreement 2015. And you know, she is now, 1 year later, she was in the UN on the climate change conference. And she told the leaders of the world, change will come whether you like it or not. These two children, Malala and Greta, shows the way. And one easy way is for you to ask your early childhood, your young children, if they know the name Malala, if they recognize the name Greta, what do they know about these brave children? This picture comes from France, one of the first projects sent to me. Comment ça va la Terre? How are you, planet Earth? And I would just like to invite you to visit the Overshoot Day, or .org, which tells about when does the resources on Earth end. And in 2019, we finished the annual resources on July 29. The rest of the time, 5 months, we took resources from the coming generations. And Sweden uses more than most people. We belong to the rich countries. And our overshoot day was already in April 3. I would like to finish by asking you to join the OMEP task of reorienting education and take action. Education for sustainability is about reorienting all education towards a sustainable lifestyle. And OMEP stands firmly with a strong voice on the values stated in the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, and we work together for transformative change in education, in society, and for a sustainable future on Earth. So please, if you're interested, go visit the World OMEP website and look out for the invitation and sign up for the OMEP ESD Rating Scale project. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Ingrid. Kyurion, can the participant could actually speak out here right now?
Yeah, if someone raises their hand, I can make speak.
Okay, participant, if you do have a question, you could actually write it down on the chatting side on the bottom of the right side, or you could just speak out, raise your hand, then we'll let you actually speak out.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Can I ask a question about the ESD rating scale?
Yes.
Okay, Ingrid, thank you. First of all, thank you, Ingrid, for introducing ESD rating scale project. And I'm Min from Korea. And it was really meaningful time for me. And I would like to ask you about the revision. I'm aware that the first version of ESD rating scale is actually uploaded on the resource bank website, right?
Yes.
And I was wondering whether the second version has been revised a lot from the first version, and could you also share information where we could access to the second version of ESD scale?
Yes, we have been working in many countries. I think the scale is translated into 10 languages, and in these countries we have collected the let's say what's good about the scale. Was there anything that was difficult? So what could be better? And based on these reports, we have made a revision of scale. And I hope the revision is more useful for practitioners, because most use of the scale has been not as a research tool, but as an in-service training tool kit. We want it to be accessible, and we want it to be understandable for practitioners in early childhood education. Right now, we have finished the finishing the translation of the scale into the official languages, which is English, French, and Spanish. And then by inviting to the signing up for the project, we ask the national committees to communicate with me as a project leader to make the translations again, to sort of revise the scale into the other languages. So Korean, for instance, Finnish, Swedish, what else we have? Yeah, Croatian, Polish. We have these languages. And it will not be such a large task, because we have revised. It's not a new scale, it's a revised scale. And the best thing would be then to, once we have the new translations, we will exchange the ones on the OMEP website and put the new Polish version or the new Swedish version on the website, so that we just have the second edition left. And then in the archives, if you want the first one, you can find it. But otherwise, it's good to use the second edition, the revised one. And it will be, as soon as we have them, they will be uploaded on the OMEP World website.
Okay, thank you very much.
I also want to thank my colleagues. I have 3 co-project leaders, which is Milada Rabushkova from the Czech Republic, Adriana Vishnik-Jančik from Croatia, and Natalia Rishova from Russia. We are 4 people who will guide and support you in when you sign up for this project.
Okay. So you are actually gonna ask the national committee to translate into their own language?
Yes, if they want to sign up. I think it's better to have one translation made in each country. Otherwise, every school would use the English or the French or the Spanish and then do their own translation. I think it's better to have one recognized national translation.
Okay, all right.
And that's what's been happening already.
Okay, great. Is there any other questions? I mean, if you have a more question later on, you could actually ask directly to the Ingrid too. You have the email address and everything on the screen, so you could do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's this is one of the most important decisions to take for a national committee. If you could use your resources and your members and inviting young children to work for sustainability, because it's the time is running out for planet Earth, and we need to do our contribution to this work.
Right. Mm-hmm.
교령아 질문 없어요?
Okay, there's no question. Oh, here's someone raised their.
Okay. You could talk.
Okay, please. Do you have a question or a comment to me?
Someone just raised their hand.
Nobody. No, not no. No.
Okay. Then Ingrid, do you want to
Yes.
close down and remark something? Anything that you want to, add on to it?
Well,
Do you want? Mm-hmm.
I see that by using this part of the project, the ESD rating scale, you will have a sort of guidance towards working with the right things in your preschool, in your setting. And you will also, by using this scale, you will have a format that could be used when you are asked in your country to report to your head or your national authorities about your preschool, because you have a sort of qualitative assessment in this scale. And I think if more preschools asked their national authorities that we should assess working towards sustainability, that's also a part of the project, the OMEP project for the sustainability in the world. So it's a good thing. And I hope to meet many people and that many national committees sign up. And we are 4 project leaders who will be happy to assist you in these in this task.
All right. Okay. Is there any more questions or share the thought? No?
Okay, then I wish good luck, and I hope to
Ingrid.
meet you all through emails. Yes.
Okay. Thank you for joining us today. But Ingrid, before we end, can I just make another announcement?
Yes.
Okay, about the webinar videos, we are going to post it in our World OMEP website.